Welcome to Spotlight Chronicles.
Hello.
Today, we're taking a serious deep dive, really getting into a subject that's, well, fascinated and maybe haunted people for decades.
Mm-hmm.
It's the complex and ultimately, tragic story of Marilyn Monroe and her alleged connections with John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, two incredibly powerful men.
And for this deep dive, we're focusing through a very specific lens. We're looking at excerpts from Maureen Callahan's new biography, Ask Not, The Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed.
Right, specifically how those excerpts have been reported in a recent Blick article.
Exactly.
So our mission today really is to unpack these specific claims, the ones coming from this new source. We want to lay out the details the biography presents about these alleged relationships and, importantly, the circumstances around Marilyn Monroe's death, which are, let's face it, highly contested.
Yeah, think of it as exploring one particular and pretty explosive account of a story you might think you already know pretty well.
That's a good way to put it. Because it's crucial context, isn't it?
Definitely. Because, as you probably know, these kinds of rumors, theories about Marilyn Monroe's death, potential links to the Kennedys, they aren't exactly new.
Not at all. This ground has been covered before in different ways.
People have been talking about this for a long, long time.
Yeah, wasn't there something back in '85? A planned ABC documentary?
That's right. It was specifically looking into the Kennedys' alleged direct involvement in her death.
And it got canceled, right at the last minute.
Reportedly, yes.
Yeah.
Pulled just before airing. So, yeah, this subject has been swirling for ages.
Okay, so this new biography by Maureen Callahan, according to the Blick article covering it, it revisits these claims. But what's different this time?
Well, the article emphasizes that it does so with, and this is their phrase, explosive details.
Yeah.
And very specific allegations.
Okay, what's the core claim of Callahan's book about Marilyn and the two Kennedy brothers?
So, according to the biography, as reported in the article, the main assertion is that Marilyn Monroe had affairs with both JFK and his brother, RFK.
Both of them.
Both of them. And maybe even more significantly, not just one after the other, but potentially at the same time.
Wow. Okay. Both brothers, possibly concurrently. That's a huge claim right off the bat.
It is.
How does the book say she even met them? What's the origin story there, according to Callahan?
The biography apparently traces it back to 1954. It says she first met John F. Kennedy, Jack, at a party out in Hollywood.
Okay, standard Hollywood connection, maybe?
Seems like it. And then it was through that connection with Jack that she was later introduced to his younger brother, Robert Bobby.
And does the book try to explain why she might have gotten involved with both brothers? What were her alleged motivations?
Well, the biography reportedly offers a perspective on that. It suggests Marilyn herself kind of recognized that both Kennedys wanted her. But crucially, it also claims she wanted both as well.
Interesting. So mutual.
According to this account, yes. It attributes her draw to JFK mainly to his, immense power, his position as president.
Makes sense.
But then with RFK, it suggests she found a kind of depth that attracted her. So different appeals, different attractions to each brother based on this biography.
Depth versus power. That's fascinating. Portraying her as having these distinct draws. But did she have, a primary focus? Or was it always about pursuing both, according to the book?
The biography reportedly claims that, at least initially, Marilyn's sights were set more on the older brother. On JFK.
And the president. Okay. And why him specifically? Was there a bigger picture in her mind, an end game?
Well, this is where it gets really dramatic. According to the biography, there was an alleged promise, a huge one. The book claims that JFK allegedly promised Marilyn he would leave his wife, Jackie, after he won re-election.
Wait, leave Jackie?
Yes. And marry Marilyn.
Marry her.
That's the claim. And based on this alleged promise, the book states Marilyn believed that she would become the next first lady.
Wow. Just wow. So if this account is accurate, she saw this as way more than an affair. This was like a potential path to the White House for her.
That's certainly the implication in the narrative presented by this biography. It changes the stakes, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Potential motive, potential consequences, everything gets elevated.
And this alleged belief, this first lady ambition, according to the book, it sets the stage for that really famous public appearance.
You mean the Happy Birthday, Mr. President performance?
Exactly. Madison Square Garden, May 19, 1962. That iconic sultry performance.
Right. Everyone knows that footage. So what specific details does this new biography claim about that night? Anything new or sensationalized leading up to her going on stage?
It reportedly gives a very specific, very dramatic play-by-play of the moments right before she sang.
Okay.
It claims Robert F. Kennedy, Bobby, specifically visited Marilyn in her dressing room just 30 minutes before she was due on stage.
30 minutes before, while everyone's waiting.
That's the claim. And it says they spent about 15 minutes together in the dressing room.
So, according to this biography, Bobby Kennedy was allegedly with her just minutes before the incredibly public, highly charged moment. And then she went out late, wasn't she? And how does the book describe her condition, her state?
The biography, as the Blick article highlights it, offers a particularly, let's say, sensational description. It claims she arrived late, yes, and was noticeably tipsy.
Okay, tipsy may be believable given the pressure.
But then the book goes much further. It presents this really provocative claim that she appeared on stage with red cheeks after the quick sex with Bobby.
Whoa, hold on. Red cheeks after quick sex with Bobby? That's incredibly specific and really quite shocking.
It is.
That detail is attributed directly to the biography.
That's what the article reporting on the biography claims.
Yes. It definitely paints a vivid and, deeply controversial picture of those moments.
I'll say. It certainly underlines what the article meant by explosiveness.
It's definitely one of those details that jumps out. So, okay. After that performance, which, let's be honest, many people saw as a very public declaration, intended or not, what does the biography claim happened next? What was the fallout, especially with Jackie Kennedy?
According to the book, Jackie felt completely publicly humiliated by it all.
I can imagine.
And the biography claims she gave JFK an ultimatum, a serious one.
Which was?
End it with Marilyn Monroe. Immediately. Or she would file for divorce. Right then.
An ultimatum from the First Lady. That's serious political and personal pressure. What does the book say JFK did?
The biography alleges that President Kennedy was really worried, primarily concerned that a scandal like this, especially after that performance, could sink his chances for re-election.
The political calculation.
Seems so. Driven by that concern, the book claims, he made the decision to cut ties. Abruptly. With Marilyn.
Cut her off after allegedly promising marriage, according to this account anyway.
That's the narrative presented, yes. Cast aside by the president, she supposedly thought would marry her.
So where does she turn then? What does the book say? Did she try reaching out to Robert Kennedy?
It suggests she did. Yeah, turned to Bobby after Jack rejected her. Maybe looking for comfort, maybe hoping to continue things with him.
Yeah.
It's not entirely clear on the exact hope.
But what was his reaction, according to the book?
The book claims that Robert Kennedy, being the Attorney General, super busy, demanding job, he had very little time or, frankly, inclination for her at that point.
So a cold shoulder from him, too?
Pretty much.
Oh.
And there was apparently a more direct message from the family as well.
Oh.
The biography reportedly includes an account involving Kennedy's sister, Pat Lawford.
Peter Lawford's wife, right?
Yes. And Pat allegedly gave Marilyn a very blunt message. Told her straight up that Bobby also had no intention whatsoever of considering marrying her.
Wow. So rejection from both brothers, according to this biography's narrative. The president who allegedly promised marriage, and his brother, who she was also drawn to. How did Marilyn react to that? What does the book say?
It portrays her as absolutely heartbroken, devastated by this double rejection.
Understandable, if true.
And it claims that, trying to cope with the pain, the weight of it all, she started self-medicating with alcohol and pills.
That takes a story to a very dark place, a critical turning point.
Definitely.
So what does the biography claim happened next? She felt abandoned, ignored by both. Did she just accept it?
No, not according to this biography. This is where a very serious claim comes in.
Okay.
It alleges that Marilyn Monroe, feeling desperate, rejected, cornered maybe, she then threatened them.
Threatened the Kennedys how?
Threatened to expose the truth. Everything about her relationships with both John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy.
How would she do that?
The book claims she threatened to hold a press conference. Tell the world everything if they continued to ignore her.
A press conference. Naming the president and the attorney general in affairs, that would have been politically catastrophic, unthinkable at the time.
Absolutely devastating. And this alleged threat, according to the biography's timeline, happened shortly before she died.
Right, because she was found dead in her home on August 5th, 1962.
That's correct. And the official ruling back then was, probable suicide, maybe accidental overdose, barbiturates, alcohol.
But the biography, as the article presents it, seems to cast a lot of doubt on that simple explanation. It highlights specific things about the death scene itself.
Yes, it reportedly points to several alleged irregularities at her house when her body was found. Things that didn't add up. supposedly.
Like what does the book claim was suspicious?
Specifically, it claims that surveillance cameras, any kind of recording equipment that might have been there, were missing from the scene, along with any tapes they might have contained.
Missing cameras and tapes. Okay, that's suggestive. Anything else?
Yes. The book also alleges that Marilyn Monroe's personal diary was missing too. Gone.
Her diary. Wow. Missing cameras, missing tapes, a missing diary. If true, those details certainly add fuel to all the long-standing questions, the conspiracy theories, really, around her death. It pushes back against the simple overdose idea.
It definitely feeds into that suspicion, according to the biography's narrative.
What about Joe DiMaggio? Her ex-husband, they remained close, didn't they? How does the biography describe his reaction, his view on the Kennedys?
The book gives a really strong account of DiMaggio's actions and his very clear stance after she died.
What did he do?
It states he explicitly banned both John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy from her funeral.
Banned the president and the attorney general.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he also reportedly barred them from a private memorial service he organized just for her.
That's an incredibly powerful public statement, a huge snub. Does the biography include anything he actually said? Quotes articulating his feelings about the Kennedys and her death?
Yes, the article highlights 2 quotes attributed to DiMaggio in the biography that are, well, they're pretty stark.
Let's hear them.
Okay, one is, "I always knew who Marilyn killed, but I didn't want to start a revolution in our country."
Wow. Knew who killed Marilyn. Not what, but who. And linking it to potentially starting a revolution, that implies he believed it was someone powerful, doesn't it? Likely the Kennedys, given the context.
It strongly suggests a belief in high-level involvement, something he felt could destabilize the nation if fully revealed. And there's another quote the biography reportedly attributes to him.
What's that one?
"All Kennedys were lady killers, and they could always escape the consequences."
Lady killers. And they could always escape the consequences. I mean, those are incredibly damning words, unwavering accusations from someone who knew her so well, who was clearly shattered by her death.
Absolutely. It shows a profound distrust, a deep suspicion aimed right at the Kennedy brothers, at least as presented in this biography.
And these quotes coming after the details about the alleged affairs, the promise, the rejection, the threat, the missing items, they really punctuate the narrative the book is building, don't they?
They definitely serve to underscore the depth of suspicion that existed, at least in some circles, right from the very beginning.
So let's try and bring this together for you listening. What this particular biography, Ask Not, as reported by Blick, puts forward is this very specific, very dramatic account.
Yeah, it's a sequence of claims, intertwined affairs with both JFK and RFK.
Alleged broken promises of marriage from the president himself. Marilyn's reported belief she could actually become First Lady.
Then the public humiliation of that happy birthday performance and the claimed rendezvous right before it.
Followed by that sudden double rejection from both brothers. Her subsequent downward spiral into self-medication.
And then the really critical part, the alleged threat to expose everything in a press conference.
Which leads, in this narrative, to her suspicious death, a scene with allegedly missing cameras, tapes, and her diary.
All amplified by the unwavering, publicly stated conviction of her ex-husband, Joe DiMaggio, who explicitly banned the Kennedys and allegedly called them lady killers.
It's quite a chain of events presented here.
Yeah, it really is. These are significant, very specific claims from this one new biography. It's revisiting decades-old rumors, yes, but presenting them with a level of, well, dramatic detail and assertion that grabs your attention.
And you can see why these kinds of claims, even now, still fuel so much fascination, so much debate.
Absolutely. It touches on these huge, timeless themes, doesn't it? Power, celebrity, the dangerous mix when they intersect, political influence, and its potential cost on personal lives.
And just the enduring, tragic mysteries surrounding the final days of Marilyn Monroe. She remains such an icon, and her death remains debated.
It's a narrative that just continues to capture our attention, our imagination. It offers this dark potential explanation for what was undeniably a national tragedy.
It certainly presents a compelling story, even if it's, as you said, highly controversial and based on this one specific biography's account.
Exactly. It's one interpretation, one narrative thread pulled from the pages of this book.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the specific claims made in Maureen Callahan's biography via the Blick article, here's maybe a final thought for you to consider. Just based on the account we've discussed today, what does a narrative like this suggest about vulnerability.
Hmm.
The potential vulnerability of individuals, even someone globally famous like Marilyn Monroe, when their personal lives get tangled up with the immense power of, say, political dynasties.
It's a heavy question.
These are claims from one book, we have to stress that. But they raise these enduring questions, don't they? About influence, about consequences, about the potential cost of silence, or maybe the cost of speaking out. Questions that just continue to resonate.
In questions that clearly the public and biographers are still grappling with all these years later.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive on Spotlight Chronicles.
See you next time on Spotlight Chronicles.